Minasan konnichiwa und willkommen. And today we're actually going to talk about my personal history with probably one of the greatest cartoon shows ever made, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Known in some European countries like the United Kingdom and Germany as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles due to censorship reasons. The show actually got its start as a serious comic book by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, which of course was a parody of Daredevil, which is owned by Marvel Comics. And the studio that was founded by Eastman and Laird was actually Mirage Comics, the company that made the Ninja Turtles comic books, with a lot of dark and serious elements. And the series actually got its start in 1984. Wow, 33 years already. Damn. Well, around 1986, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were approached by several different toy companies, especially Playmates Toys, which still makes Ninja Turtle toys to this day. But the toy deal couldn't be made unless there was a cartoon show to accompany it. And they did just that, by getting one of the top animation studios at the time, which was MWS, Murakami Wolf Swenson, which later became known as Fred Wolf Films, in 1992. I was only 3 years old when Murakami Wolf Swenson became Fred Wolf Films. And they actually did a really impressive job making the cartoon more, how do I put this, more impressive than the comics. Well, the live action movies were pretty close to the comics, except for a few differences. Even the 2003 series is more close to the comics. But this is from my perspective, with the 1987 show. Because the 5-part miniseries, starting with Turtle Tracks and ending with Shredder and Splintered, premiered in syndication in 1987. And it actually, that 5-part miniseries aired on weekday afternoons, depending on the time zone. But my impetual love for the show didn't start until around 1990, when it premiered on CBS, complete with a new intro and everything. And with the kick-ass CBS stereo sound ident that was used during the show's opening credits. Ah, those were the days. Because I remember watching the show when I was very, very young. And I remember hearing some really familiar voices, like Cam Clark as Leonardo and Rocksteady, and then later High Tech, Rob Paulsen as Raphael and High Tech during Season 9, Townsend Coleman, who voiced Michelangelo, the Rat King, and the Shredder throughout the rest of Season 7, and Barry Gordon as Donatello and Bebop. And of course, it also had some great supporting voice actors as well, like Renee Jacobs as good old April O'Neil, Jennifer Darling as Irma, Peter Renaday as Master Splinter and Vernon Fenrick, and Pat Fraley as April O'Neil's boss, Mr. Thompson, and the villain is Brain Krang. Let's not forget about the more famous villain in the show, Shredder, who went through many different people throughout the course of the series. There was James Avery, aka Uncle Phil, from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air during, I believe, around over 100 or so episodes. There was Darian Harewood in a few episodes. There was Townsend Coleman for the rest of Season 7 after Uncle Phil left. There was Jim Cummings for a few episodes. And there was William Martin from Season 8 and 2 episodes from Season 10. And I tell you, that's really impressive on how they got many people to voice Shredder. And I forgot to mention that Pat Fraley also voiced Casey Jones and Baxter Stockman. To me, Baxter Stockman looked better as a fly. Especially when he does those buzzing sound effects. And my view at the Technodrome is just really awe-inspiring. Because when I saw the Technodrome, it just really got me hooked on the show. Especially with Shredder and Krang acting like an old married couple. Because I've seen Ninja Turtles when it was still airing on CBS back in the early 90s. Which was a long time ago. In Season 9, the show introduced us to a new villain named Lord Drag, not to be confused with General Trag. And guess who actually did the voice of Lord Drag? That's right, the late great Tony Jay. You know, that simple piece of aluminum oxide has a very complicated alarm system. 'Cause those wretched turtles. I tell you, Tony Jay's voice was just so distinct, aside from Tim Curry, than Dudley Moore and Eric Idle. How do I know about this? Because of my personal history with voice acting. Well, in terms of studying the voices. From the greats like Mel Blanc and Frank Welker to anime voices like Sean Schemmel and Kaya LeBear. And even some female voice actors like Mona Marshall and June Foray. Anyway, the popularity of Ninja Turtles was so big that a lot of people didn't know what to do with the series after it ended in 1996. At the time, I was only 7 years old when the show was on its last legs. And I was actually eating a bowl of Captain Crunch while I was watching the show at the time, which I think was also paired up with the Ace Ventura Pet Detective cartoon, which aired on the same network at the time.